All right, today we're tackling a theme that is, well, it's pretty much everywhere. It shapes everything from global politics to our daily conversations: power and pressure. We've handpicked 20 words that are going to give you the tools to talk about these forces with way more precision. So let's jump right in.
That's a pretty big question, right? To really get a handle on the world, to have a real discussion about it, you need the right tools. And honestly, one of the best tools you can have is a sharp vocabulary. Because when you have the exact word, you start to see complex situations with a whole new level of clarity. So that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're moving past the vague, general terms and getting into the specific language you need to really analyze and understand the dynamics of power and pressure. By the time we're done here, you'll be able to spot these forces at play in everything you read and see.
Let's kick things off with the most direct kind of influence. This first batch of words, it's all about coercion. The different ways that one person or group can kind of force another one to do something. Think of these first three words as a kind of coercion toolkit. Each one applies pressure in a slightly different way, and they range from simple psychological prodding all the way up to direct, scary threats. First up, we have goad. To goad someone is to basically poke the bear. You're prodding them, maybe with insults or challenges, until they finally snap and react. It's a psychological push, using annoyance to get someone to do something they probably shouldn't. Okay, now we're leveling up. Duress is a much more serious and often illegal form of pressure. We're not just talking about being annoyed here. This is about threats or force that literally take away a person's free will. In court, for example, a contract signed under duress is worthless. The key takeaway is that real choice has been taken off the table. And to wrap up this section, we have the word Minatory. Now, this is an adjective, and it describes the quality of being threatening. It's not the threat itself, but the whole vibe it creates. Think of a minatory glare or a minatory silence. They communicate danger without a single word ever being spoken.
Okay, so we've talked about applying pressure, but what about just holding on to power? This next set of words is all about established dominance and the things people do to either keep it or completely shatter it.
Now, this is a big one: hegemony. This isn't just about dominance through brute force. It's a much deeper, more widespread kind of control. It can be cultural, economic, you name it. It's when the dominant group's way of seeing the world becomes the accepted common sense, making their power feel totally natural. It helps us see the subtle ways control works everywhere, from global politics to the media we consume.
So that's a great question, right? If hegemony is this big, abstract system of power, what about the actual people who wield it? What language do we use for the one in charge, and for the orders they bark out? And boom, here's how they connect. You might have a despot at the top, a ruler with total, unchecked power. And that despot, they're probably going to issue peremptory commands. A peremptory order is not a suggestion. It's final, it's absolute, it demands you obey without question. Think of a judge's peremptory ruling or a boss's sharp, final instruction. So what happens when someone tries to smash that system of dominance? You get a coup, or if you want to be fancy, a coup d'état. It's a sudden, swift, and usually illegal takeover of power, often by a small group like the military. And just like that, the entire established order is thrown into chaos. All right, we've covered applying power and holding on to it, but what about pushing back? This next section is packed with words about the many, many ways that power can be resisted, reduced, or just stopped in its tracks.
No, this is a really important distinction here. Constrain and inhibit both mean to limit something, but it's where the limit comes from that matters. Your budget constrains your spending. That's an outside rule. But your own fear might inhibit you from speaking in public. That's an inside feeling holding you back.
And the list goes on. To curtail something is to cut it short, like curtailing a long speech. To preclude an action means you make it impossible before it even starts, like a prior commitment might preclude you from going to a party. And to dissuade someone, well, that's when you talk them out of doing something.
Now let's talk about two really strong ways to stop something. To stymie is to block progress, to totally thwart it. A detective might be stymied by a lack of clues. To quell, on the other hand, is much more forceful. It means to completely crush or suppress something like a rebellion, a riot, or even a powerful feeling like your own panic.
All right, time to shift gears and talk about absolutes. What do we call something or someone that is just completely unmovable? And on the flip side, what about a force that is simply unstoppable?
For that unmovable person, the word is intransigent. This describes someone who is absolutely stubbornly uncompromising. No matter what arguments you make or what offers you present, they are not changing their mind. It's a really powerful and, let's be honest, often frustrating kind of resistance.
And on the flip side of that, we have Inexorable, a force or a process that is just relentless. It's unstoppable. Think about the inexorable march of time, or the slow, powerful advance of a glacier. It just keeps going no matter what anyone does to try and stop it.
Okay, we're in the home stretch now. This is our final section, and it's all about the results of these power struggles. So, what happens in the aftermath? What are the consequences when all these forces collide?
I love this pair of words because they're a perfect cause and effect. First, an action can impinge on something, like your rights. That means it has a negative, limiting effect. So what do you do in response? You counteract that action. You do something to reduce its force or neutralize its negative impact. You ever see a situation that was totally calm and then one little thing happens and everything explodes? That one little thing precipitated the chaos. It's the trigger, the spark that ignites the fire. A single thoughtless remark can precipitate a massive argument.
So after all that fighting, all that pressure, how does it actually end? Well, a lot of the time it ends when one side decides to concede. To concede is to finally yield, to admit defeat, or just to acknowledge that the other side has a point. It's that moment when the pressure is finally released and everyone can move forward.
And there you have it, 20 incredibly precise words to help you describe the messy, complicated dynamics of power and pressure. So the real question for you is, as you go out into the world, as you read the news, as you navigate your own life, what new things are you going to see now that you have the words for them? Thanks for sticking with me.